Hello, and welcome to a video that's going to introduce reverb options in Pro Tools for immersive projects. This particular setup, this particular demo is going to be 7.1.2, but this video and the concepts apply to other surround and immersive formats such as 5.1 and Atmos. All the concepts here will apply to Atmos. If you're going to be doing reverb in Atmos, you're probably going to be sending it to the bed or an object bed, and another video will discuss these more advanced reverb options and how to use object beds. But the basic concepts shown here, they apply. So I have one source here. I've got this dialogue track, and I've got it looping the dialogue right now. We don't need to hear it, and I'm just going to show how to get to reverbs and the basic reverbs that are available here at Nescom for your immersive projects. So first and foremost, let's not put reverbs as an insert on a particular track. It does work, but you want to be able to set up your reverbs in such a way that they can be shared across multiple channels. So we're going to use aux sends and returns, as we do in all the projects in our classes here. So let's go bus and send it off. We'll pick a particular bus here. Let's send an aux send to bus 1. And I'm going to right click on the name of that so I can name that bus something other than bus 1. Let's just call it verb because that's what this is a verb demo. I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to hold option down and click on the fader. It'll go right to Unity, and it's going to send off to that aux send. Next thing, we need to create an aux return. Subtle note here, I just created a mono bus. It was a mono bus. Don't fall into the trap thinking that because you're working in 5.1 or 7.1 or Atmos that you need a multi-channel send off to the reverb. Mono usually works just fine. You can have the reverb itself create the immersive effect. So with that in mind, when we create our reverb return, I'm going to make it to the right here of the master fader. I'm going to make a new mono aux input. It only needs to be mono. I don't need a 7.1, I don't need a 5.1, I don't need a 7.2, etc., etc. Just mono is fine. So we'll do that. We'll create that. And of course, don't forget to name that. Now we're giving it a generic name right now, but we're going to name it verb to align up with the aux send. We're going to source that channel here from the one we just used, that mono verb send. And now you get to make it immersive. Now you get to make it multiple channels. Do note that the reverb right now, it's going off to the mix bus. I set that up earlier that it would automatically go to my master mix bus. And so if you were doing Atmos or something, this would probably be you want to route your reverb off to your bed, or maybe you have an object bed. You've created a multi-channel object bed. But in this case, we're going right to the mix bus. And I'm going to instantiate my reverbs. And this particular project is 7.1.2, so 5.1 is not going to work. And when you go off to reverb, it's going to show a whole lot of options in reverbs, but most of them are stereo. And this is common. Most reverb plugins are indeed stereo. So there's a few select ones here at Nescom that are 5.1, and only one that's actually 7.1. So let me show off the ones we have that really do surround. First one I'm going to introduce is Revibe. Revibe is made by Avid. It's a nice plugin. I'm going to load up a 5.1 or a 5.0 plugin. And it's, again, mono in, and it's 5.1 out, but it's going to a 7.1.2 bus. And this is kind of interesting. What Pro Tools is doing is called upmixing. It's routing those 5 outputs, left, center, right, rear, and sub. And it's routing those to the nearest and most appropriate channel in 7.1.2. So the reverb may not come out of the side channels, but it will definitely come out of the rear channels, and you will still get a surround sound effect. You're not going to get an immersive effect because this plugin does not produce height channels. So I'll discuss that more in the advanced reverb video, how to get the sound of the reverb to come above your head. But this will at least do LCR and behind you. And the plugin is cool. You know, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of presets here to choose from. Choose what you want. All the basic normal reverb parameters left for other videos and other discussions. But what is worth mentioning here is these levels control here on the plugin. And this is fantastic because you can do really quickly turn down the rear or turn up the rear, or turn down the front channels left and right, or turn them down. And perhaps the most powerful feature here is the center channel, where you may want the reverb to be left, right, around you, but not necessarily in the middle where your lead vocal sits. So this keeps the reverb out of the center channel. And if I press play here, you can actually see what's happening on these meters over here, and perhaps I can bring up the center channel, and maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't see it. Maybe you'll see rear channels, maybe you won't. Really, there you go. You can see it on the meters there. So that's a very useful plugin to start with. Another one, very popular, kind of industry standard impulse response reverb is Altiverb, and we have the 5.1 version of Altiverb here. You really don't need the 0.1 for these reverbs because you're not going to be sending reverb to subs. So I'd say a 5.0 will work fine. And again, Pro Tools is smart enough. It's mono input, 5-channel output, and Pro Tools will map that to the 7, which is pretty cool. The reverb itself, is it in surround? Well, it depends on the preset, the impulse response you load. This preset here, if I press play, you can see in the meters on Altiverb that it is coming out multi-channel, and you can definitely see here on the mix meters that yes, this particular Altiverb impulse response is indeed in 5.1. But if you were to change to another preset, you may find one here that is not in Immersive. Obvious ones where if I pull up an impulse response of an old piece of 80s technology, here we'll load a reverb from an AMS verb from the 80s. Look, it is only coming out in stereo because Altiverb sampled this unit in stereo, and they had no option because the unit was, of course, stereo to begin with. So in Altiverb, it really depends on the preset you load up, and be aware of that. Just because you make it surround doesn't mean it actually is surround. The last reverb we have here at Nescom available is made by a company called Liquid Sonics, and they make a variety of actual immersive designed reverbs that go to, I think, even above 7.1.2 in channel count. I may be wrong about that, but they have a multiple reverbs. Really, really cool. We only own one here, and this one you can actually load as what we're mixing here, 7.1.2. We can actually load a verb that will do all of the channels, including the height channels, which you can now see with the meters. This particular reverb will do the upstairs speakers, which is pretty cool. So using this, you'll have to play with it, but there you can definitely click here on the name of the patch and go find things. This particular reverb is focused on rooms. What I really like, my favorite feature of this, is up here in the upper right next to Liquid Sonics, that little guy. Clicking on that reveals macros that if you're on this master, I'm pretty sure any parameter you adjust affects all channels. Like I'm affecting the reverb length in all channels right now, or the gain and the output level of all channels. But you can do really cool things with this where you go tweak just the front channels. Perhaps you want the front channels a little lower or a little longer. Maybe you want the rear channel a lot longer but a little bit quieter. And here's what gets fun. The center channel, perhaps you want that turned off. And maybe the sides, you want more pre-delay on it. And the height channels, you want to be brighter. You can go into the parameters and tweak them per kind of section of your mix, and this is incredibly powerful. All right, I hope this video helps out. There's definitely a lot more things we can do. I'm going to create an advanced video as well that talks about using multiple reverbs in different locations of your mix, and how to deal with it in Atmos. But this is at least a starting place. Okay, have a great day. Hope the video helps. Bye-bye.